Welcome to the Limit Free Life Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. I bring you tips, advice, and guest stories about creating work you love. Whatever type of career or business you have or want, I want to help you find more meaning, money, and happiness. Now we are live from Hollywood. Hello, and welcome to the Limit Free Life Show. It's Wednesday. We are here every Wednesday at 1. Today we're a little late, so I don't know. It's not 1, but whatever it is, it is. So, we love coming on here and talking about work you love, creating work you love, business, money, all the things that come together to create a life of purpose and meaning and fulfillment and security and all the things that we are most hoping for from our work. So today I have a fantastic guest who has really created what looks to me like a limit-free life and is really going for it and doing all kinds of amazing things, building some wonderful brands and some other things that I can't wait to share with you because I think she's a great example of what's possible. So I'm going to start by telling you a little about today's guest. Her name is Tonya Crooks. And Tonya Crooks is a true artist with an unwavering passion for beauty that has grown into a mission to make every eyebrow flawless. Known by her celebrity and industry following as the Brow Gal, Tonya's keen eye developed at a young age and burgeoned early into a career. Following her dream, she studied fine arts at the Royal Academy of Art in London, where she learned the skills and habits of a classically trained fine artist with a particular propensity toward color. This creative path led to a developed interest in the mastery of personal beauty, prompting her to expand her services beyond sketching and painting into the fashion world as a makeup expert on photo shoots. Tonya's ability for treating each face as a uniquely blank canvas was quickly noticed and created steady demand from talent and colleagues for her services on and off the set. By applying her unique background in fine arts to cosmetic techniques, she garnered a reputation for perfection and precision that has lasted for more than a decade. Tonya, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Michelle.
Oh, I'm so excited that you were able to come in. And I'm actually, I want to thank you because I know you're very busy, and so it's not always easy.
I was going to say I have to apologize. I'm the reason why we're running a little late today.
It's
so
okay.
It's not Michelle's fault.
We're very flexible. It's a limit-free life. So, no, this is great. So. I'm really excited because your story, I don't even know that much about it yet. And so I'm excited for myself to hear it. And I'm excited for the listeners to hear it because I think yours is going to be a real example of how to, A, overcome some perceived limitations that people might have, and B, just to get into something that you love and transform it into, all kinds of things, art and business and you name it. So do you want to just start a little with the beginning and how you started your journey?
Yeah, sure. It's interesting because if somebody would have told me when I was young what I would be doing, I would say, you're crazy. But what I've learned along the way is that you sort of have to trust the ebb and flow of life and life's rhythm. And that's a huge takeaway for me. I started out as you mentioned, in art school. I'm a classically trained artist. I was going to the Royal Academy of Art. And long story short, I got accepted to the University of London.
Okay.
And so my parents, who, always wanted the best for me, were very, very smart in the way they raised me because they made me work really hard for everything I had. So you learn the responsibility, the value of money, so on and so forth. Yeah. So I paid for my own tuition to go away to, I worked for a year, 3 different jobs, and just put the money aside so I can put myself through college.
Wow.
And so what they were going to do is just sort of give me stipends along the way.
Yeah.
So when I got to school, I got to London 2 weeks before classes were starting, and I had been sketching a lot in a sketchbook.
Okay.
And so I decided that I was going to decorate my dorm room, my style, on a student budget. So I was ripping pages out of my sketchbook and putting them on the walls. And I met a gal over there, Wendy, who was absolutely wonderful. We're still friends today. But she was absolutely fascinated by my artwork. And she said, do you mind if I take a couple of these and show my mom? She's an art teacher. I said, sure. So she did. And 4 days later, she came back and she said, do you want to go to school where my mom teaches?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I said, where's that? And she said, the Royal Academy of Arts. And I said, yes, without even thinking twice. I was studying intercultural communications at the University of London because, my parents, they knew that I was an artistic child. They knew exactly what they had on their hands. But at the same time, they didn't sort of escort me in that direction.
Right.
They tried to, in a very subtle way, detour me.
Were
Mom wanted me to be a college professor. Dad wanted me to be an architect.
Oh, wow.
And I was the people pleaser daughter that just wanted to make my parents happy. But my true passion was always, from as young as I can remember, art, painting, drawing, all of that. So anyway, what happened was when I accepted this opportunity, I felt like, I had worked and saved money and got myself there. So what I chose to do with my life was my choice.
Yeah, right.
So I didn't have the guilt factor of,
right.
And it was really an empowering choice I made looking back.
Yeah, it's such an important point. I mean, that really fits in with the whole limit-free thing, is you can create your life and your freedom by going out there and working. I was actually listening. Do you ever listen to Gary Vee?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was
love
listening to him this morning, and he was saying, I think that saving and hard work, those old, kind of the old school kind of mentality is really, in a lot of ways, what's missing today, and people have to get back to that.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what you're saying, and you created your own ability to just do what you want, basically.
Yeah, and I have to thank my parents for that. Yeah. Really, they were
very cool.
Their work ethics were amazing. So what happened was I started art school and I ran out of money. Plain and simple. Art supplies were expensive, and that wasn't covered in my stipends.
Yeah.
You see.
Okay.
So I had to find a job, and trying to get a job in London is not easy when you're an American, illegal alien that nobody wants to hire.
Right.
I tried to nanny. I tried to get wash glasses in pub. I tried to anything, but it just wasn't happening. Their rules were very strict, and so a friend of mine at school understood my crisis, and she said, I got you a job. And I said, doing what? And she said, makeup artist for a photographer friend of mine. It pays cash.
Oh, cool.
And I said, well, I don't wear makeup really myself. Maybe some lipstick, maybe some mascara, but I'm a fine artist.
Right.
And she says, wait a second, Tonya. You know how to paint? You know how to paint? Yes. You know how to use a brush? Yes. You know how to choose colors? Yes. You know how to shadow and shade? Yes. What's the difference? It's a 3D canvas. And I've always been one that's up for a good challenge. So I said, okay, I'm a makeup artist today. And a bunch of us collected our makeup, put in my watercolor box, and I actually literally used my watercolor brushes.
I love it.
And I started painting faces, and it was a beautiful challenge, and it was a great opportunity, and luckily the photographer was happy, and I was happy, and I was able to stay in London. So
I love that.
That's how I started in makeup.
Yeah. I love that wasn't really, it wasn't even in your radar.
No, it was a
And then
means
all
of survival,
sudden,
really.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I knew that going to my parents and asking for money after a choice I've made was not an option.
Right.
So I knew that I had to be responsible for all the choices I made. So I was either going to figure out how to make it work or go home.
Yeah. I also love the fact that somebody else came along and you were less able to see the transferability of your skills, but she could. And
yes.
That happens a lot.
And sometimes you just need a little encouragement, because now it makes perfect sense, of course, knowing what I know now.
Yeah.
But that was sort of how I started and fell into makeup. And then I was planning on just getting my master's in being an art. I figure I'd try to at least make mom happy, and I would be a fine artist professor at some fancy art school on the East Coast. That was my plan. But then, what I mentioned earlier is life can throw you curveballs. And I think that I've always tried so much to control my life that sometimes you suffocate your own life. So you have to learn. I had to learn sort of to ease off and listen to what I call the signs and signals of the universe and the guidance. And so I always told myself, if you feel like you're skiing up a hill, you're on the wrong hill. Yeah. So get off.
Great
Stop
saying.
doing what you're doing.
Right.
And so that's sort of what happened. I came back from London getting ready to go back east, and an immediate family member passed away. And so I decided to take a gap year in between.
So you were headed for your master's?
I was headed for my master's, yes. And I took a gap year. And during that gap year, I wanted to just kind of find my footing again.
Yeah.
And give myself a break, because I've always been really driven.
Yeah.
And it's hard to sort of mourn and be driven at the same time.
Yeah.
At least for me. So I decided just to do makeup jobs, just started flying at me effortlessly.
Love
Effortlessly. I'm from San Francisco,
Okay.
Bay Area. And it was just and I'm like, I must be on the right hill, because this is just really easy. And my mom, I mean, my hero, she would say to me, she was the kind of mom that wanted me to live next door to her, if not in her house, for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So for her to say to me one day, Tonya, if you're going to take this seriously, you need to move to Los Angeles.
Wow.
And I thought, did I just hear her say that? I was like stunned in her kitchen. So anyways, I thought about it, and I thought actually a long time about it, maybe a better part of 6 months or so.
Wow.
And I was doing project after project. I was doing a lot of makeup for film and TV then. And so I decided one day, I was shopping with my friend in the middle of Macy's or Nordstrom, wherever we were. And I said, I'm going to move to LA.
Wow.
I'm going to pursue this.
Yeah.
And I did. And when I moved, I did not know one soul.
That's impressive. And well, even when you said, I'm going to pursue this, did you know what this was?
This was being a makeup artist.
Okay.
Okay. Because I had been very lucky and very successful in, I was a big fish in a very small pond
Yeah.
up in Northern California,
Yeah.
but I knew that LA, that was the big leagues of makeup.
Wow.
That's Hollywood. So I prepared myself mentally, physically, emotionally, every way possible. So I gave myself another 6 months. So it took me about a year to get actually down here in LA.
Okay.
And I knew that I was going to be a tiny little guppy in a huge sea of fantastic fish. So I knew that I was going to have to bring my A game. Mm-hmm. And what art school taught me was, being able to pay attention to detail.
Yeah.
And details really do matter.
Yeah.
And so because I didn't have any kind of social life, I would get the photographs back from the photographers back then, and I would really critique them and study them like we did in art class.
Oh,
So
wow.
I would just, am I happy with it? Do I feel like I can sign my name to it? Because in the art world, being able to sign a painting or a drawing means it's finished, and it's really hard to get there.
Right.
It's, It's because you always want to sort of,
Yeah. Right.
work it a little bit more, render it just a little bit better. And so anyway, knowing when to stop and step away from it and say it's done is kind of a beautiful moment.
Right,
And
right.
so, long story short, I was doing that with all my photographs, and what I found was a lot of them were ending up in the trash can or the circular file because they were not to my standard. And I
Okay.
started picking everything apart, and what I started seeing over and over and over, and this is in the early 2000s now, what I started seeing over and over and over was a trend of unbalanced faces due to bad eyebrows.
So
Bad eyebrow
interesting.
shapes, bad
Okay.
eyebrow colors. And I was using all the best brow products then, and I like to think that I know my colors well.
Right.
But it was still not giving me the results that I was looking for. That was back in what we called the no makeup moment.
Right, right.
Okay, it was very clean, and you had to look like you had nothing on. But coming off of the 90s where most people had Pam Anderson eyebrows,
Yeah.
we had to somehow make that look natural. So that was the tough part.
So interesting. Yeah.
So what I decided to start doing, so I would stop throwing my photos away, was I would ask the photographer if I can invite the model beforehand to my tiny little studio apartment
Cool. Okay.
and shape her brows and mix her color. So when we went to shoot the next day or the next couple days, I would be armed and ready to go.
Wow. So yeah. See, I would not be able to, identify these colors or really see the differences. So I think it's so cool to me when somebody has that skill.
It's
to be
just,
able to,
sometimes that eye for detail is a blessing, and a lot of times it's a curse, believe it or not. But it's, you know, I'm grateful for it. So I started literally on my studio kitchen floor because my studio apartment had really bad, like, low pile shag.
Yeah.
And I could not dare get wax on that rug. So I would lay them down on the kitchen floor where I can easily, you know, clean the wax up if I should have a spill. And needless to say, Michelle, I had a very popular kitchen floor.
I bet that was, I mean,
People
they
would
must
just
have
be-
appreciated what you were
Well,
trying
models
to do.
loved what I was doing,
Yeah.
and so models tell their friends, and you know their friends, and the next thing you know, you're getting calls, you know, from celebrity assistants and celebrities themselves, and it just kind of grows.
Right.
And so, to be honest, I never planned for this. But what I
Yeah.
did plan for is always delivering my best work. And so it was Megan Fox, actually, back in 2008 that said, she cornered me in her living room, and she's like, Tonya, you know eyebrows are my thing. And you know that I'm not a makeup artist, but I want them to always look the way they look when you do them. So can you make me a product that I can use, that I can accomplish that with? Because you know I've tried everything out there. And I remember feeling the pressure. I was staring down, and I could see her gorgeous Christmas tree. Remember I told you the eye for details and all the golden ornaments and twinkling lights. And I'm like, how do I tell her no? So I said to her, and I hate to also overpromise and underdeliver, but I said, you know, Megan, just give me some time and I'm going to come up with a solution for you. I don't know what it is yet, but I promise you I'm going to have an answer for you.
Oh, I love that.
She said, okay.
That's a great answer.
That's how it really started. And then, you know, I was hand mixing colors in my studio, and I was having all kinds of my clients wanting to buy my products. I mean, this is 10 years after I started off the kitchen floor.
Right.
So I wasn't planning on having a makeup brand.
Right.
At all. You know, I was just planning. I was a makeup artist still, doing brows, and you know, raising a 3-year-old child by
yeah.
myself. You
Yeah.
know, so it was not on my radar to sort of become a makeup mogul that way. You know,
Right.
honestly, it was seriously by me trying to give my clients what they're asking for and make them feel better about
Yeah.
themselves. Because whenever they would get on my chair, they started to say things like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to wash my face for a week. Or I got a party in 2 days, but I couldn't get an appointment with you, so I'm just going to wash around my brows for the next 2 days. I mean, seriously, these are the things I'm hearing. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
There's a need here. There's a white space here. Because people are willing to go to these links
Yeah.
time and time and time again. So
Right.
this is a problem that needs to be solved.
Yeah. Oh, I love so much about this because, you know, so many things are, you know, saying yes to something when you don't actually know how to do it yet.
Yeah.
You know, and you bought yourself a little time, which was really smart, but you said yes despite. And just going that, I think it really shows how people in business can differentiate themselves and stand out. And yours was purely from the heart that you were trying to do, like you say, give the best value for your
Yes.
customer.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
in doing that, you came up with your own way to make that happen, and you know, in your own home and everything else. But you know, it's unique, and I think that's contributes a lot to
That's
the
how the
success.
Brow Gal was born. That's how my luxury brand was born.
That's so
And
fun.
it's been, you know, every day is something different. It's learning constantly,
Yeah.
you know, and I've made a million mistakes along the way, you know.
Well,
but
I do want to get to some of those because that's fun to hear
Oh,
about.
my gosh.
But also, you mentioned your child.
Yep.
So, you know, for people out there who are having to, you know, try to figure this out while raising a child or children,
Right.
and especially by themselves potentially, what do you have to say about how you manage that, or you know,
Yeah.
anything you can?
Well, you know, I think that we as women, and especially women that are mothers, we learn to be uber multitaskers, you know, and I had made a promise to myself that I've always wanted to have a child my entire life. Since I was kids, I wanted kids.
Yeah.
But so when I became pregnant with my son, I made a promise to myself and to him that the first 5 years he was gonna be like my purse.
Yeah.
I was gonna be with him as much as humanly possible. And this is one thing that I have to like thank my celebrity clients for, because when they would call me to house calls, which they still do, but when they would call me to house calls, I would have to say to them, I can come, but I have a very well-behaved, 2-year-old, 3-year-old boy, and,
Right.
I don't have a nanny, or because I wasn't trusting anybody with my son.
Yeah. Totally
And
get that.
so, and they say, oh, sure, bring him over.
Nice.
And I remember Fergie, the first time she called me, it was Mother's Day. She wanted me to come over on a Mother's Day. And I said, well, it's Mother's Day and I have a son. Is he? Yeah, sure, bring him over. And Josh Duhamel fell in love with him. So it was just
Aw.
great. And that whole piece of it too, I kept him pretty guarded from that whole world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think he was 5 years old, something, and he says, Mom, I know what a celebrity is. And I said, what? And he says, it's a party. I said,
I love that.
kind of. It could be, I guess, but let's, kind of divert the conversation
Feels
in
that
another
way
direction.
a lot. Yeah.
And then it was, that was probably when he was 4. So when he was 5, we were standing in line at the market, and he's like, Mom, why is Megan on the cover of that magazine? And I said, because she's pretty. And he says, yeah,
She's
that's
got great
true.
brows. That's what got her on there. Yeah.
So that was interesting, sort of, but I kept him with me at all times. And
That's so fun.
as much time as I could spend with him, he was with me. And really would have to talk to him like an adult and just say, look, this is what Mom's got to do, but we're going to make this work for the both of us.
Yeah.
And you just figure it out. And I think because he was raised in it, he adapted really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
He's a great kid.
I think that's good for people to hear that
You just do it.
Yeah, and that a child can be,
Yes.
can deal with it. And
Well, because when you, well, at least for myself, when I made the decision to have a child, that's when I come second, and he comes first,
Right.
always, with everything. So, he has been, I think, just him going through that journey with me has made him so aware. And now that he's almost 16, he can appreciate all of it.
right.
You
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Which it makes him proud of me, which is, I mean, what other higher form of compliment can you get?
Yeah, it's true. Yep.
But
Oh,
any
that's great.
single mom can do it. It's just a matter of you being in charge of your own life and, making your own priorities and following through on them.
Right. And how did you balance just, your own kind of your sleep and your health and just, everybody talks about self-care. Was there
Right.
any of that going on? Was there any time for that?
Let's see. Not really, but I tried to do the best I can with what I had.
Right.
Did I have a lot of sleepless nights? Absolutely. Was I foggy-eyed at many children's events at his school? Yes, I was. But I just kind of did the best I could, and I had such an open communication with him, and he saw what I was doing, and he knew what my job was, that he understood and grew to really understand.
Well, and do you feel that, because this is the bias I have, is that if you're doing something that you really enjoy and you love, that it isn't exhausting you like some other job.
That's true. That's true. I mean, there's definitely some weeks that are and periods of time that were much harder than others. But for my self-care, I just always try to make good food choices. Like I'm not one that eats, and I haven't for many, many years. I don't eat processed really foods. I don't eat Doritos or drink sodas or anything like that. Just because I have always treasured health. When I was a kid, I had a million allergies. So you had to kind of learn young how to take better care of yourself.
Right.
And so I stayed on that path. But as far as exercising on a regular basis, I would do this and that here or there. But, I'm on the go all the time.
Right.
So there also was those times when I knew that I had to just power down and restore. And I still do that to this day.
Yeah.
Every
Nice.
Sunday.
Really? Oh,
I
love
have
that.
to. I have to. It's my only full day off where I just shut down.
Nice. So you don't work on Sundays?
I do not. And, I knew I was really well on my path when I started turning down the award shows on Sundays.
Wow. Okay.
Because you can only burn the candle so much.
Right. Well, okay. That's, I mean, it's all so interesting to me, but I want to get back to the brand because now the brand is starting to build.
Yes.
And so where do you go from there with that?
So the brand, it took me 3 years to create 6 shades of pencil colors.
Wow.
I was testing every single part of my brand down to the feeling on the box. Was very well thought out.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
from soup to nuts, it's the best quality you can get. And our pencils are wooden, so they're sustainable. I'm really proud of that because a lot of other brands are not doing that.
Yeah.
But so it was the basics. How can we basically teach the customer, meaning my clients, how to use these tools and go home and get the same effect so they can walk out of their house the same way they felt walking out of my studio.
Yeah, which to me, knowing that I mean, that almost sounds impossible, but
Is a little education goes a long way.
It does.
A great product really makes a difference.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of where I started, and it was really about empowering women, empowering my clients, empowering people to not trust, the person down on the corner shop to do your brows, but really understand your face and what's best for you.
Cool. Okay.
And I'm very passionate about that. The details again.
Yeah.
So I'm just sort of explaining to my clients and customers the easiest and best way to achieve their brow goals.
Okay.
Yeah. And then from there, I have to mention that I'm very proud of the fact that I just launched. I'm a co-founder with some partners I have in New York on a brand called Arches and Halos, which is exclusively in Target right now.
Nice.
And we're doing a big expansion at the beginning of next year. That is very exciting for us.
Do you want to just give us a hint as to how that came about? Because
yes, I will.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Okay, so let me just sort of backtrack again to when I was a kid. My mom was a single mom of 3 kids.
Oh, wow.
So she was working hard.
Right.
And this is where I witnessed her hard work. But my mom loved beauty. So she was so beautiful. She looked like Marlo Thomas. She was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so I would sit on the toilet and watch her get ready for dates as she was trying to find like a new dad for us kids, right? And she would just doll herself up, and I would just be mesmerized at this transformation. And I would see her with all of her makeup, and I loved all of it. I was fascinated with it, and her like Maybelline pencils and her this and that. And I remember being very little and going by the makeup counters when she took me to see Santa Claus at Macy's. And I said, Mommy, let's go shop here and for makeup. And she said, no, I can't shop there. It's not in the budget. I have my makeup. And so my mom was, she shopped in the drugstores.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then as I became older and understood the difference, and a working makeup artist really that understood the difference between the mass brands and the luxury brands, I knew where the areas of opportunity were in the mass brands.
Right.
So it was always my goal to give the moms out there, like my mom, opportunity to have a great product at an honest price.
Oh, I love that.
That's seriously, the name is Arches and Halos because Arches obviously brows, but Halos because my mom was my hero and she's an angel in heaven now. So this is sort of my nod to her and my homage to her and all the single moms in the world that, you can be beautiful. You can feel just as beautiful and not feel like you're less than because you're using a product that's not purchased behind a makeup counter.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, we always talk about, having a big why behind anything you do that you can connect with whenever it gets too hard or you get lost or whatever, and that's a beautiful
Yeah,
why.
I was very working with my partners, Bruce and Barry, incredible partners at Beauty Partners, and they trusted me implicitly with the whole vision. And they trusted me with the products, and they trusted me with the formulations, and they trusted me with everything. And they said, Tonya, this is what you do.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I said, but you have to understand, I understand this is the mass channel, but I do not want it to be another poor quality product. It has to be great quality for the price.
Right.
And I said, I don't even know if that's possible to do. and they made it happen. So
That is
we all
wonderful.
made it happen. But
Yeah.
yes, so that's Arches and Halos, and
And that will be out.
it's out now.
It's out now.
In Target,
Okay.
but we have
Wow.
a big expansion plan for early 2020.
And how long did, from the time you kind of, I don't know who had the idea, but from the time the idea came about to now, how long was that?
For the mass brand?
Yeah.
It started, let's see, we were probably well into our, maybe fourth or fifth year. But it was interesting because one of my clients who owns a big cosmetic brand, she said to me, Tonya, you need to, when I first launched Brow Gal, she's like, you need to own the space in Target. Be the Anastasia of Target.
Wow. Yeah.
And I thought, why are you saying this to me right now? I have a beautiful product in front of you, and this is not what I'm thinking about. But I think somewhere it's just stuck in the back of my mind. And,
Yeah.
so it was always, the thought was always there. It was just a matter of how many projects can you do?
Right.
The Brow Gal's my baby, and then from there, it got a baby sister.
Yeah. Well, I love that too, because you have a very niche business. I mean, when you think about it, it's
really,
the small little bit of hair on your face
Right.
is your whole focus.
Right.
So,
I know.
which is fantastic because usually, people that can be the key to success is to find a very narrow niche and try to, do something with that. It's not easy for people.
It found me, really.
Yeah.
When people are saying, well, Tonya, why did you do brow products? You're a makeup artist. And I said, because people were not coming to me asking me for the perfect shade of lipstick. They weren't coming to me asking me for, a better mascara.
Right.
They were asking me, they were begging me and pleading with me to help them solve a problem that they found on their face that
Right.
made them feel very insecure with their overall looks.
Yeah, right. Oh, I just love it. Yeah.
So it kind of found me.
Yeah, but then you focused in on the luxury side really, and then you found
Yes.
another avenue that you could
Yes.
expand to, but still the same
Yes.
idea, and I mean same problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's all fascinating.
It's been a very interesting journey.
Yeah. So how is your overall feeling? Like, do you know kind of what you'd like to do next? Do you have a vision for something else, or are you just going to see how it unfolds as the others maybe
Well,
have?
I definitely there's still a brow story to be told in both lines, right? So there's great products that are being developed now, always developing new products and following the trends and whatnot. Got some fun stuff coming, and then the possibilities are kind of endless. But what I have been working on lately is my memoir, my book. So if there's any listener out there that never thought that they can turn into like an entrepreneur and, running some multi-million-dollar companies, you can. Trust me, I don't have an MBA.
That's the best message of all. You don't have a business degree. You have an
I do
art
not.
degree.
I have a fine arts degree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy, huh? But you know what? I think it's always being transparent and being honest is my policy. And if I would sit in meetings, and if I didn't know something, I would say, excuse me, I don't know what that means. Even this morning on the phone with one of the lawyers, I'm like, excuse me, I don't know what that word means.
Right.
Can you
Right.
because sometimes lawyers get stuck in their legalese and they forget who they're talking to.
Sure.
So I'm the first one to say, I don't understand, I don't know, ask for help. And I do believe that, you want to have people around you, great people around you that have different strengths and skill sets. Otherwise, you're sitting on a two-legged stool.
Right.
It's just not going to work. And so
Yeah.
the synergy that I have with my team is just it just works, and I would be lost without them. Really, really.
Was that hard though, to when you went from being
Absolutely.
just a solo gal to
Yes.
building a team?
Yes.
That's a whole skill set.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and you don't always get it right the first 10 times. Just kidding.
You want to share maybe a challenge in that department, or any other kind of challenge that you've run into as you build this?
I think I was so motivated and I was so passionate about what I was doing that I seriously had blind ambition. I really, really did. There was nothing that was going to stop me from doing what I felt was the right thing to do.
Right.
And I always, in the back of my mind, it was, Tonya, at some point, you're gonna retire. You're gonna have, you've been working freelance forever. You have a son to get through college. I mean, you're gonna have to do something that's gonna generate and sustain you while you're not sitting on your stool,
right,
or standing actually doing makeup,
right.
And so my motivation was my son, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we, like I said, I put him first with everything. And if it were left to me, if I didn't have him, then, I can't say that I would have made all of the same choices. Who knows? I might have been, living in Helsinki. Who knows? I'm just a huge world traveler. But but I'm really grateful and I'm thankful. And I think that that saves me a lot of days.
Well, and I love that you bring that up, because there is, of course, like it or not, there's a money component to our careers that,
yes.
And so, and definitely people who are, starting out on a more artistic, creative path, sometimes that can cause some conflict.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
You need to find the balance. And so that's, in the team, you want to find people that are the best operations. You want to find the best person at finance. You want to find the best, marketing person. You want to find the best, and you kind of, and it means the best for me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I'm saying? The best for me, that even down to like our graphic designer, he's priceless. Like if anything happened to Nick, I don't know what I would do. Let alone Selena, Lindsay, the rest of my team, Abby, all of them. I mean, they're fantastic. Bruce, Barry, all of them. But I've been really, really blessed to get here, but it was not easy getting here at all.
Yeah. It's not easy. I don't know who is really successful and can say it was easy. I mean, so no, it's good for people to hear, because they need to know that you have to have that persistence and flexibility and perseverance and all the things that.
And just kind of learning to trust your intuition and like I said earlier, trusting life's rhythm. I mean, if something doesn't happen for you, it doesn't mean your life is over. It means that's just not the right thing that should happen for you at that time. And, I'm living proof of this, and that's why I decided to write my memoir, because I want to further motivate other women entrepreneurs that came from little to no means.
Right.
I mean, my company was completely grassroots. Yeah. It was, I didn't have a trust fund. I didn't have investors. It was like bank loan at the bank and some good faith of friends and there you go. But, talking about being underfunded, we were definitely underfunded to start with. And, learning how to scale and learning all these things, I was a fine artist. Yeah. So it was finding that balance and making those connections and networking in such a way where, especially women love to help women. Women entrepreneurs love to help women.
That is true.
Women entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I do too. And I find that, I mean, I think there's still some work to be done in the corporate arena with how women, interrelate. But I think in the entrepreneurial space, women are definitely wanting to help other women.
Yeah, because I think we all want each other to win. And I went to, are you familiar with The Wing? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I went to a talk at The Wing a couple of weeks ago, and all women in there, all women business owners. It was packed full. It was an Instagram lecture. But anyway, it was so nice to feel the support and the synergy in the air that everybody had with each other.
Right.
There was none of that, oh, you're doing that, I'm doing this, I'm going to do that. But there was none of that feeling or vibe at all. It's like, oh, you have an olive oil brand? Cool. What is it called? I'll follow you. I'll buy some. It was more that kind of a vibe going on in there. And I thought, wow, we're really making big strides.
Yeah. And I think entrepreneurs tend to love business and tend to love, watching other people's businesses, regardless of really what they are, to see how they're doing it, because everybody's on that journey, and it's a unique one. It teaches you a lot about yourself.
It sure does. Yeah. And, just starting it and having the vision.
Right.
If somebody would have told me, oh, but Tonya, in 5 years or 10 years from now, this is what's going to be happening and this is where you're going to be, I would have said, no, thanks, check, please. I'm going to stick to my makeup brushes, But I followed that inner fire and that drive and that passion. And it comes from more than anything else from helping my clients feel better and the everyday woman feel better about herself.
Right.
Because who hasn't struggled with an eyebrow if you're a woman? I'll do a master class or do a lecture and I'll say, okay, who in here has ever struggled with eyebrows?
Yeah.
At one point or another in your life. And every single hand goes up.
I'm proud of myself right now that I'm resisting the urge to tell you all my eyebrow
your
stories.
fine.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of stories behind my eye. They're a big topic for me. So this is great. How about... you don't have the traditional business background, but you're clearly, quite successful in business.
First to admit it.
But how are you with things like planning? I mean, do you have a strategic plan? Are you looking at next year, with a plan, or are you just,
No, definitely. I mean, as you sort of evolve and grow, the only way you can scale is to be very organized. And seriously, going back to having a great team and, making sure as a leader that I'm leading my team, and I didn't realize, like, innately, that was something that I kind of just learned and, read a lot of books and watched a lot of TED Talks and all these kinds of things, I'm addicted to TED Talks. And just understanding how to really trust the people around you.
Yeah.
When you can, to not trust too soon, because I did that too, and that hurt me. But to really, when you do find that level of trust, letting them work autonomously, letting them, for example, it's kind of funny, but the gal that handles all of our bookkeeping and finances and accounting, I literally will say to her, Selena, can we purchase XYZ? There's not one charge that's made that I don't clear through her first.
Oh,
not
that's
one,
so smart.
Little or small, because that,
Mm-hmm.
That's her wheelhouse. That's her organizational plan. That's her system. That's her method. And she's great at it.
Yeah.
So I respect that. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You really have to check your ego at the door. You know what I mean? You really can't have one, because I feel like if there's one surefire thing that's going to destroy and burn your business, is having an ego.
Really interesting point. Yeah. And I love that because you are somebody who, is so detail oriented, but at the same time you can let go in the areas you need to let go.
You have to, because, I do not, one of the biggest pet peeves I have is somebody trying to control me, and tell me how to live and what to do and this and that. And, I've been my own boss forever.
Yeah.
So that is something that I never want to bestow on other people, but I hold myself accountable for myself. So when I realize that, I have to kind of just ease off.
Right.
Because I don't want to be that person in somebody else's life, but still at the same time make them feel. And that's one thing that I can say that I've done right. The one thing that I can say that I've done right is that I treat all of my team with the equal voice. So if one of, our employees has a name for an idea, like I'll be like, okay, we're doing this new product. And usually I come up with all of the ideas, the designs, the names, everything. But I'll say, I'm kind of a little stumped. Do we have any good ideas for this one? And then everybody sort of jumps in and they get excited. And then, if it's a great idea, I say, I like that one. Let's take a vote. We like that one.
Nice.
Well, everybody liked that one. And then that person gets to feel like they're more invested, and then they become more passionate and more loyal because they're heard.
Right.
As being my company, I could say, no, this, no, that, yes, this, yes, my way, no way, that kind of thing. But that is not how you're going to inspire a team.
Right.
And there is no I in team. Absolutely. You grow together.
Yeah. And do you have some people who've been with you since the beginning, or?
Let's see. Since the beginning?
Well, not necessarily. Yeah.
But I've had some key players in especially the last couple of years, that have been paramount.
Yeah. Do you, just thinking about the whole, because, building a team can be super tricky. And today there's so much talk about company culture and just kind of creating that for everybody. Are you?
So important.
Yeah.
Okay. So because I feel like one bad apple can spoil the barrel. And I've definitely been on, the other side. I've been the spoiler and I've been spoiled, you know what I'm saying, by other people's moods. So really sort of coming into my own, it's really important for me to, as a leader, check my own thinking, before it starts with me, the positivity.
Right.
The positivity, the creativity, it starts with me, and I have to be that for the people around me. Mm-hmm. And I expect that in return. Yeah. Not to say that we're all not going to have bad days.
Right. Yeah, it's a whole new set of skills to learn. And so how do you feel in terms of just your leadership skills at this point? Are you...
Well, no, I think they're all, I think I need some more TED Talks.
I know, when you mentioned the TED Talks, I can imagine.
Motivational speeches and, hanging out with some more really uber successful women. Because I think that every day you learn. Yeah. Every day you learn. And if you're willing to learn, you're willing to grow. And I just know a lot of the things I figured out by what not to do, because I did it and it didn't work.
I know.
So
That's
I'm like,
a great
okay,
teacher.
that didn't work, so let's try something else.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I don't know if this is a tough question, but I do like to bring up money mindset. So any money belief or money idea that might have, it created either a limit or maybe was a powerful force in you going forward.
Definitely. And I think part of that goes back to me being young, and my parents teaching me, if you wanted to have fancy school clothes, you babysit. And I did. Yeah. And if you want to go to this birthday party, then you pay for part of the present. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like these small things. So I learned the value money at a very, very young age, and that has been carried through to me. I'm very generous, but at the same time, I'm a little bit miserly when it comes to company spending and how we do things. Yeah. I'm very, very cautious to, I don't know what you would call the money mindset when you just are very pragmatic and practical about your purchases.
Yeah.
I don't even fly first class or business unless I get an upgrade. I fly coach.
Yeah. Well, I have these archetypes, and that would be an accumulator archetype. I'm imagining that you have some of that, which is for somebody very responsible with money, who can save, who actually enjoys saving.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and but sometimes has some trouble with investing and spending money on the big things. So sometimes,
boy, you know me well.
I know my archetypes. Well, I'm afraid we are about out of time
gosh, that
here.
Went by so fast.
I know.
Did I talk your ear off?
No, I loved it. Are you kidding? I could easily do this for another hour. So I'm so impressed. I mean, it's been so much fun to talk to somebody who has really created some big dreams, and made them come true. And so even though and it's just so fascinating to hear, they weren't necessarily dreams that you even started out with, but they created themselves.
Exactly.
And,
kind of
beautiful.
Going with the rhythm and the flow. And, I have to say, and God's help for sure. Yeah. I'm a very spiritual person that way. So.
Well, this has been
whatever carries you
wonderful.
Through.
Yeah, and I love just your upbeat kind of vibration here.
Thank
so
you.
I'm sure that's
Likewise.
helping your business as well. Can you tell people how they can find you?
Yeah, sure. You can definitely find the brands at archesandhalos.com and thebrowgal.com, and I'm on Instagram, and both brands are on Instagram, and I'm at Tonya Crooks. That's Tonya with an O, TonyacRooks. And I'm happy if anybody wants to DM me any questions. I always do my very best to get back to everybody. I can't promise that it's right away, but I always do.
Right. And if somebody wants to understand, do you still work individually with people, or
yes,
not so much?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I perform services every day. I did this morning.
And you do have a store.
A shop on Melrose. Yes.
Yeah. And beautiful looking shop.
Thank you.
Looking forward to going in myself. And so, so anyone with any brow questions or needs, this is your expert here. So. Again, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been great.
Okay.
All right. Thank you,
appreciate you being here. And listeners, I appreciate you as well, and thank you so much for being here with us. You can find the Limit Free Life Show on YouTube, and also we're being broadcast from ubngo.com. And you can also find the podcast on Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio and Spotify and the other platforms that are out there. So thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you create a fabulous career and life that you can love. I think one of the most important messages I have to share with the world about the work that I do is that your work is yours to create. This is your piece of art that you can create in your life, and there's really nothing stopping you. Overall, most of us can learn what we need to learn and figure out what we need to figure out and create that fabulous career or business that we dream about. And there's really no reason to think that you can't. My name is Michelle Perkins, and I am the CEO and founder of a company called Limit Free Life. And I help men and women to make dramatic change in their lives so that they can have the fulfillment, fun, and financial prosperity that they have always wanted to find through their work. The main services I offer through Limit Free Life are one-on-one private coaching, group coaching, trainings and seminars, and business consulting. My signature service is one-on-one coaching over a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, even a year. It really allows a person to decide on an outcome that they desire, and then for us to work together to really achieve that outcome in full. The type of clients that I typically work with are professional men and women who are driven to do more, who might be entrepreneurs, but also career professionals who work in organizations, who are really looking to do more with their lives and very open to thinking in new ways about what they're doing, and who are willing to take responsibility, do the work, make some changes, and who don't say I can't a whole lot. Clients up-level in a number of ways. For some, they start a business after being in the corporate world. For others, they have an existing business and they really figure out the key and the formula to making that business grow and take off. For some, it's a matter of really developing courage. And for many, it's a matter of up-leveling their view of themselves, what they're capable of, how powerful they are, what their strengths are, and where they can go in life. What I see also is that there's a spark that kind of gets lit, and that flame keeps growing within them, and there are things that they want that maybe they were reluctant to even express that they wanted, and now they just go for it. They have bigger wants and bigger dreams than they had before, and the sense that they can achieve those things. I feel very strongly that money beliefs are foundational to developing a business that can scale and grow and become the business that you want it to be, whatever level of success that is. And for people who feel stuck or their business isn't going the way they want, a lot of times it comes back to some of these money beliefs. So as a certified money mindset coach, I have the training to help people understand where their hidden money beliefs are either interfering in their lives or businesses, or coming into play in some fashion in all the decisions that they're making, both in their business and in their life. The overall mission behind my work is to help people love their work, to find satisfaction, fulfillment, fun, and also to be financially prosperous in what they're doing. That combination to me is a perfect recipe for making work a great part of your life. And so that's my vision, is for people to see work and money as allies in their life and things they can lean on so that they have something that makes them feel important and something that gives them a place to go to develop a sense of identity and purpose and meaning in the world. My greatest hope for my clients is that they will develop a holistic relationship with work, money, and life, and there won't be this separation where they go to work and then they live their life after work, and they will develop work or businesses that they love, that they look forward to going to, and that give them the freedom and the income and the happiness that they're looking for in their life. I think one of the most important messages I have to share with the world about the work that I do is